Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. PF VEEP accuses President HH of inciting political violence. Park attributes HH's delay to make appointments to bad company. CSO'S urge government to adopt PF's economic recovery plan. In international news, vaccine misinformation blamed for low turnout among Gambian women. And in sports, fast VEEP response to MBULAKULIMA. Join me with the news in detail after this commercial.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we're here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And now the main news in detail. Residents of Kalingalinga compound have called for a quick action from the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company to fix a broken sewer pipe in the area in the wake of diarrhea diseases outbreak in Lusaka district. The residents have expressed fear for their lives, stating that such spillage also put them at risk of diseases such as cholera, especially with the onset of the rain season. The Minister of Health Wednesday announced an outbreak of diarrhea diseases in Lusaka district, which the residents say could be attributed to many reasons, among them sewer spillage around the district.
For a long time now, poor sanitation has remained a point of concern in many parts of Lusaka district, especially in peri-urban areas, locally known as shanty compounds. It is not uncommon to see sewer leakages like this one flowing onto the streets unattended to for weeks. Lusaka shanty compounds also often record the first outbreak of waterborne diseases such as cholera due to unsanitary conditions. The problem of broken sewer pipes, which have been left out in the open without being attended to, is a common sight in the country's capital, hence endangering the lives of citizens. Residents of Lusaka's Kalingalinga compound are the latest complainants, stating that effluence from a broken sewer pipe has been flowing to the streets, hence acting as a health hazard.
Vimanzi vichoka every day. Tina wana wangono wangangena diarrhea wangayambera kuyamba rain season. So titenda ulapo watuoneko. Bama alungisa manya wakalungisa 2 days futi changambika. Stizo tu alungisa vazoona usalungisa vazoona. Bana amaswelera mu kwenda ogula tikawatuma tikaguleni kakuja obolo swelera pamanzi pamne hapo.
So yeso atemwino foi ile binding hapa so. Ile nunga sana mukati bakasitoma nga bayisa bayanda palisuwa mwayanda kuna balisaka wota wakanzo so twanako kushitako mbleni paliso so pero mbako kuti ati weso watirungishe ko wachike fe bambeko kushitako fe.
The Ministry of Health, in a circular dated Wednesday, 13th October 2021, announced that it is investigating an outbreak of diarrhea diseases in Lusaka district, which are suspected to be cases of typhoid or dysentery. The affected residents state that such outbreaks could be arising from many sources, among them sewer spillages, which have been left unattended to, and have called for quick action. Meanwhile, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Officer Mr. Nshamba Muzungu, while calling on citizens to exercise responsibility for sewer systems, states that certain areas have been earmarked for an overhaul of existing sewer systems.
It's a gradual process. So right now there are areas which were selected under the Lusaka Sanitation Program, which we are working on. When it comes to other areas, the problem is not so much to do with the replacement of the network, but it has to do with behavior. And then, in that situation, what is important is that those people should desist from dumping solid waste in the network.
The residents have called for the problem to be addressed before the onset of the rain season, which is barely a month away. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The opposition Patriotic Front Vice President Kevin Luvinda has advised President Hakainde Hichilema to retract a statement he made during his radio interview on Wednesday. According to Mr. Luvinda, President Hichilema is inciting the youths to be vengeful towards the PF members. He alleges that President Hichilema is calling for revenge to the alleged ill treatment of UPND members when in opposition by then ruling Patriotic Front, adding that the former ruling party expects a retraction from the president. Mr. Luvinda said this at a media briefing in Lusaka Thursday morning.
With the outcome of the August 12, 2021 general elections, one would think political intolerance would come to an end among political opponents, especially between the United Party for National Development and the Patriotic Front. Despite the UPND being the governing party for at least 2 months now, political witch hunt has continued to be witnessed among its lower-ranking members in the streets. The country has witnessed a number of violent incidences, with the recent being at the court grounds in Lusaka between the political party members and the other earlier this week, where PF member Kebimbewe's business entity was shut down in Southern Province by the UPND cadres for not displaying the president's portrait. All these events have saddened the PF vice president, given Luvinda, who feels President Hakainde Hichilema is supporting the youths to be violent, citing a statement he issued when he appeared on a radio program Wednesday.
The last 10 years, citizens were abused in many ways, violent ways. And our citizens knew some of the people who were harassing them by name, by location, in terms of where they live. It's only sometimes, depending on who you are and how you look at things, to say, this one took away my market store, so I'm going to do the same now. This one beat me, I'm going to do the same. I sympathize with those feelings. We are determined to end this. I think that's the starting point. Clarity in your mind that this is wrong. If it hurt me, and now I want to hurt someone else, then you are lying that it hurt you.
Whether Mr. Luvinda understood President Hichilema's words or not, a comment from him could not be ignored.
Notion that people should go out and seek revenge for whatever reason. It is totally unacceptable for a Republican president to reduce himself to being a partisan president. We find the remarks of President Hakainde when he said the attacks on PF are expected human nature. That those who were attacked by PF should act in what he calls the natural manner.
Meanwhile, Mr. Luvinda has also commented on the shifting of institutions like the Anti-Corruption Commission to State House, which he alleges is wrong according to the Republican Constitution.
I would like to remind President Hakainde that the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Drug Enforcement Commission, and the Financial Intelligence Center are established by the supreme law of the land. They are established by the Constitution at Article 235. They are not commissions established under the Inquiries Act, Cap 41, Section 2, which empowers him to establish any kind of commission. There is a big distinction between commissions that he can establish using the Inquiries Act Cap 41 and those commissions that are established by the Constitution. Commissions that are established by the Constitution are constitutional commissions.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The New Heritage Party has noted with displeasure the political intolerance that has risen after the 12th August 2021 general elections between those who voted for the former ruling Patriotic Front and the new United Party for National Development administration. In an interview with Camnet News, Party Vice President Mr. Samuel Kansanka notes that this intolerance is evident in society but also on social media platforms, which is counter-progressive to the country's democracy. Mr. Kansanka adds that this vice should be condemned by stakeholders and well-meaning citizens, adding that all Zambian citizens should be free to support a political party of their choice without fear of victimization, as Zambia is a democratic country.
So it's not right that everybody or anybody who speaks some checks and balances against the current government is part of the 1.8. No. They are just Zambians. Even those 1.8 are Zambians, and the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia provides for everyone's right to freedom of association, meaning that even the PF, as unpopular as they are currently, people are free to join them and express themselves as PF members. We also are expressly entitled to our right to freedom of expression, meaning that as long as it is a matter of public interest, we should be allowed to speak.
Opposition People Alliance for Change PAC President Andford Banda has alleged that President Hakainde Hichilema's delay in appointing people in strategic key position is simply because he has realized that he is surrounded by people he does not share the same vision with. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Banda says President Hichilema is now being compelled to look outside his circle to establish a solid team he will share the same vision with. And Mr. Banda says it is wrong for the president to compare Zambia to another country when he appeared on a radio program Wednesday when he alleged that a named president had stayed for 6 months without appointing his cabinet. He says the slow pace in the appointment of people in key strategic positions such as permanent secretaries is affecting the implementation of the UPND ideas.
In as much as he has referred to a country where a president stayed for 6 months without appointing his cabinet, for us, we believe that the dynamics of this country are different. We need to ensure that, key positions are appointed, such as permanent secretaries, as it is right now. We were actually shocked to learn that, the president has fired the secretary of the cabinet without appointing a replacement. Meaning that if he really wanted to fire the Secretary of the Cabinet, he would have fired him the first day. The politics demands that when you take over government, you bring in a team that shares your vision. And it is surprising that he is taking time to appoint a lot of people, meaning that he didn't have a lot of people within his camp that would share his vision. So we want to appeal to the president to ensure that, he appoints permanent secretaries who are like CEOs of most ministries, so that, things can start moving. As it stands, things are not moving. I think that's our stance. Thank you very much.
The civil society organization CSO Debt Alliance has urged the United Party for National Development administration to adopt the contents presented in the economic recovery plan by the former Patriotic Front government. Speaking at a media briefing held in Lusaka Wednesday, Jesuit Center for Theological Reflections, JCTR Executive Director, Father Alex Mayebe, says the CSO Debt Alliance have analyzed the recovery plan and have established that it is in line with the vision of the now government, which calls for its adoption. And the Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council, NGOCC Executive Director Ingwase Mwale, says government needs to develop a workable implementation plan that will facilitate the attainment of the debt sustainability and restore economic growth.
In December of 2020, former Zambia's President Edgar Lungu launched the Economic Recovery Program ERP 2020 to 2023, which had the objectives to restore macroeconomic stability, attain fiscal and debt sustainability, restore growth and diversify the economy, dismantle domestic arrears and avoid accumulation of new arrears, as well as safeguard social protective programs. Since the launch of the ERP, the target to raise international reserves to over 3 months of import cover by 2023 had been met within the first year, with the IMF special drawing rights bolstering reserves to 5.4 months of import cover, as well as 2.9 billion United States dollars in coffers by August of 2021. However, the Zambian economy remains far from attaining the outstanding target stipulated in the program, whilst inhabiting a huge debt burden that had been growing even before the COVID-19 pandemic. It is for this reason that some CSO'S debt alliance in Lusaka are now calling on the new government to consider adopting the ERP, which was launched by the PF administration, saying it is in the same line with the vision of the new government in restoring the country's economy.
So our point is that even as a new government comes into office now, rather than throwing away the water with the baby, there is already an instrument that was put together, and we want to believe that there was a lot of effort and a lot of resources that went into producing the economic restructuring program. And when you look at really the economic restructuring program, analyzing it, I mean, there are quite a number of positives in there, which are actually in sync with the aspirations of the new government.
And JCTR Executive Director Father Alex Muyeba says the new government, once it adopts the ERP, should develop a workable implementation plan that will facilitate attaining of debt sustainability and restore economic growth.
There are always records there that are quite astounding to do with mismanagement, misappropriation. What's the other category? Misapplication. Yeah, so of resources. And these are issues, I mean, they are critical issues which must be addressed.
And Center for Trade Policy and Development CTPD Senior Researcher Public Finance Dr. Gabriel Pollen says adopting the same ERP will save government resources.
So the conversation, I think, also should move toward utilization of debt resources, much away from acquisition of debt, because as we've already noted from the new government, more debt is going to be contracted. We still have a problem of domestic resource mobilization. So our conversation should be around governance issues concerned with utilization of debt.
Others, such as the Consumer Trust Society and Center for Young Leadership in Africa, have called for a more consultative approach by the government to managing the debt situation and fostering economic recovery.
Necessarily going to be in the negative and hope that the government it sounds like a listening government, and I think that the president has made it his mission to be meeting different people from different sectors, different stakeholders, and we are one of the stakeholders, and we are closer to the grassroots. So we don't see how the president can deny us an audience.
And therefore we are calling on the government through the Minister of Finance to ensure that there is full disclosure of this debt and from who and how much, and that should include the Chinese debt. We need to know how much debt we as young people of this country are owing to the people of China.
Rebuilding the Zambian economy will require a concerted effort from all stakeholders. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Transparency International Zambia TIZ has called on government to urgently harmonize its public statements by developing and implementing a clear communication strategy. TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe says the government should generate consolidated positions on national issues before any statements are issued to the public. He points out that there is need for a clear position on whether there is indeed hidden public debt following apparent contradictions between President Hichilema's statement on BBC Focus on Africa on the 1st of September 2021 and Finance Minister Alexander Msokotwane's ministerial statement to Parliament on the 5th of October 2021. He has since proposed that all government official positions should initially be issued through the chief government spokesperson. Further, political party functionaries from the UPND and its alliance partners should refrain from issuing statements on matters that relate to the state.
In the past, we have seen issues such as, the true stock of the public debt, issues such as the Mukula trade, and even the president's travel arrangements, being talked about by, different government and UPND officials. We think that it is important to have a clear demarcation between what is party business and what is a government business, and so there really should be that demarcation being done in order for there to not be confusion. We therefore would like to call upon the UPND government to consider putting in place and implementing a communications strategy, because we feel that that is going to reduce on the inconsistencies that we have seen, and it will help the government to communicate a lot more effectively with the Zambian public, and I think that is what we are all looking forward to.
Government has expressed concern over the composition employment structure of Surya Biofuel Company in Central Province. The company has set up a $15 million United States plant that will produce ethanol, liquid fertilizer, biofuel and animal feed by using molasses and cassava in Chibombo area of Central Province. Minister in charge of the province, Credo Nanjua, inspected the plant and noted that there is need to invest in cassava production in the country, as this will bring about sustainable development.
Central Province Minister has expressed concern over the composition of Surya Biofuels Limited, in which it has set up $15 million United States plant that will produce ethanol, liquid fertilizer, biofuels and animal feed through the use of molasses and cassava in Chibombo area. Speaking when he inspected the plant, the minister disclosed that the company should have interest in employing local Zambians who are well qualified and equal to the task.
I have noted, Mr. Patel, it is your management team. I'm looking forward to seeing a management team where more Zambians are involved in the management. If you are showing me, you have shown me that most of the people who are heading your departments, they are foreign nationals. That is not impressive to me. That's not impressive to me. I'm looking forward to seeing more Zambians. We have got so many graduates from the universities who can head most of these departments. We're expecting when your expatriates comes here, they are supposed to impart knowledge, the skill, into our local people, so that our local people can own these industries.
And Surya Biofuels Limited chairperson Kalpesh Patel said once commissioned, the plant is expected to produce between 12 to 18,000 liters of ethanol and 120 liters of organic fertilizer.
Higher yield. We'll use higher yield per hectare. That's 40 tons per.
I think where is it more?
And the Chitambo plant can start processing it, giving us whatever the capacity of the Chitambo plant is 48 tons per day. Yes. We can uptake everything, and we can give 2 kwacha per kg. If it is packed in 1 ton also, it's okay. Bulk packing is welcome, so that we just use it straight into our process. Because we are ready with the processing.
The plant will benefit different youth cooperative groups and some small-scale farmers in the country, as well as the liquid organic fertilizer will induce farmers to grow maize and cassava needed to produce ethanol. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Government has reiterated its commitment to working with communities and civil servants who have chosen to realign themselves with the new government's agenda. Speaking when he paid a courtesy call on Petauke and Cinder Acting District Commissioner, Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Mike Mposha has stated that civil servants must change their mindset towards a new work culture if effective service delivery in the water sector is to be attained. The minister has since called on all stakeholders to cooperate regardless of one's political affiliation. Meanwhile, Cinder Acting District Commissioner Dr. Adrian Tembo has disclosed a number of challenges faced by the district, which include dilapidated infrastructure and the high cost of purchasing and servicing water-related machineries.
While he paid a courtesy call on Petauke and Cinder Acting District Commissioners, Thursday, October 14, 2021, Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Mike Mposha has advised civil servants to develop a new mindset towards a new work culture if effective service delivery in the water sector is to be attained.
Let's work together. We are a new government, but we are alive to the fact that service delivery is anchored on you as civil servants. So we need to change the work culture. This government is mindful that as we provide development to our people, we must bear in mind that we want quality service. We want quality service, but we want a cost-reflective kind of service. We don't want a product or a project which can be sourced at 50,000 kwacha being sourced 4 times the original price. So we must be alive to the fact that we must procure at the right price.
Mr. Mposha says government is ready to work with communities and civil servants who have chosen to realign themselves with the new administration.
But delivery also should be timely. You know, time is of great essence. We have 5 years to deliver and show the people of Zambia what we promised to them. And this means that as we implement our projects, we must be very mindful of time. So we are ready to work with all the Zambians as long as those Zambians are ready to realign themselves to a new work culture of seriousness.
He has since assured that government will work towards ensuring Zambians have access to water and proper sanitation. Meanwhile, Cinder Acting District Commissioner Dr. Adrian Tembo has told the minister some of the challenges faced by the district.
So many challenges, and among those is the issue of water. Yes, then of course, apart from that, even the issues of teen pregnancies, early marriages, ghetto heading, of course, too numerous to mention. But water.
Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A civil society consortium on tobacco control has called on the UPNB administration to criminalize the sale of tobacco products to minors. National Action for Quality Education Executive Director Aaron Chansa says the government must immediately ban the sale of tobacco products near schools, ban advertisement and promotions of tobacco products near schools. Meanwhile, Tobacco Free Association of Zambia Executive Director Brenda Chitindi has appealed to government not to let the tobacco industry interfere in tobacco control policies. The duo was speaking during a media briefing in Lusaka Thursday.
Tobacco is the leading preventable cause of death in the world. Tobacco control action will prevent young people from starting to use tobacco, help current tobacco users to quit, and protect non-smokers from exposure to second-hand smoke. Zambia is among African countries that have ratified the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control. Strengthening the implementation of the convention is one of the big challenges for countries in the African region, Zambia inclusive. The civil society consortium on tobacco control in the country continues to remind the government to enact the pending tobacco control legislation. National Action for Quality Education Executive Director Alan Chansa says the government must criminalize the sale of tobacco products to minors.
Good governments must immediately ban the sale of tobacco products near schools. This is a very serious demand. We want the new government to immediately ban the sale of these products in the vicinity of schools, and we are very serious. Number two, the government must ban all forms of advertisements and promotions of tobacco products. These advertisements are actually very enticing, and the nature of young people is to be attracted to enticing advertisements. So we want this to be banned. Number three, which is also very important, government must criminalize the sale of tobacco products to minors. We want this to be a criminal offense. Anyone who sells cigarettes or any tobacco products to a small person should be arrested.
Meanwhile, Tobacco Free Association of Zambia Executive Director Brenda Chitindi says the tobacco industry must not be allowed to interfere with control measures.
Enough to hear of the tobacco growers with words such as tobacco company has injected $100 million US, or this year tobacco yields are high, or the profits are great, or the season is brilliant, or crop is marvelous, or it is a bumper harvest year and it shall bring in millions of dollars. And yet our tobacco farmers still remain poor, in debt, and burdened.
A tobacco expert, Teddy Mulenga, says smoking can cause infertility among men and women, hence it must be discouraged at all costs.
The engine gets flat, it can't start. You understand? Erectile dysfunction. You know, men, if you can talk about lung cancer, this, they don't listen. But touch the engine, they'll listen. So tell them, it causes impotence, erectile dysfunction, because the circulation is disturbed in the organ. So, apart from that, the females also, it disturbs menstrual cycles, hormones, so that infertility, the ability to have children is compromised. Hormonal disturbances, nicotine causes that, cigarette smoking causes that. And not only cigarette smoking, I was talking about Insuko, which our young people are inserting in their private parts, saying that it has got a positive.
Certainly, there are intensive efforts by the tobacco industry to expand African markets, and this presents a huge challenge to tobacco control. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. We continue with the rest of the main news. Childline Zambia has revealed that the non-governmental organization has been receiving about 700 calls per day from children expressing concern for their safety after the outbreak of the coronavirus. In an interview with Camnet News, organization field coordinator MBULAKULIMA states that prominent among the calls are reports of online sexual harassment, as the coming of the coronavirus has necessitated regular use of online platforms for education purposes. Meanwhile, a media expert, Brenda Bukowa, has called on the media to seriously take up the task of raising awareness of the dangers that children face online and how they can be kept safe on the cyberspace.
The onset of the coronavirus pandemic has had various effects on many areas of society, including the education system. This has resulted in most lessons being taken online in order to adhere to preventive measures such as social distancing, while enabling pupils to be more computer literate and also helping them to continue learning during the pandemic. Online learning has also brought with it its own risks. The prolonged exposure of children to online platforms puts them at risk of dangers such as sexual harassment, cyberbullying, and exposure to harmful content, among other risks. Childline Zambia, a non-governmental organization, says that the number of calls from children has increased during the pandemic, with their call center receiving about 700 calls per day. Organization field coordinator MBULAKULIMA was speaking to Camnet News.
Every day we get about 600, 700 calls, and most of them, I really can't say which one comes more because it's different, but I think of late most of them have been from child abuse. So when we get calls, we work together with the police, we work together with the parents of the children, we work with the parent. When they actually get calls from the call center, they don't talk to anybody, they talk to trained counselors. So they are seen through the stages and the steps, and we help the best way that we can.
Meanwhile, a media expert, Dr. Brenda Bukowa, says it is the responsibility of the media to educate parents on what dangers lie online and how children can be protected. She was speaking after a media sensitization workshop for online protection of children.
So as pertains to the opportunities and risks that children may be engaged in or may encounter in their day-to-day lives, the media comes in terms of sensitization, in terms of letting out society to know what is pertaining on the ground, in terms of informing the children themselves, the parents, and generally the public, in terms of also bringing in or bringing out issues to do with how we can create safe spaces for our children online so that they can then move and live in a safe and environment that they are protected.
The media expert has also called on civil society and civic leaders to raise awareness on the need to keep children safe online. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Revenue Authority ZRA, in collaboration with the Drug Enforcement Commission DEC and the Zambia Medicine Regulatory Authority ZAMRA, have seized the consignment of benylene with codeine syrup worth approximately 763,000 kwacha at Victoria Falls borders in Livingstone. The transporter of the seized consignment, Katongo Kalium Sonda, a male aged 45 of house number 1278 Lai East in Lusaka, has been arrested. ZAMRA Senior Public Relations Officer Christabel Iliamupu read the statement on behalf of the other institutions.
I wish to confirm that the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority ZAMRA, working in collaboration with the Drug Enforcement Commission and the Zambia Revenue Authority, have seized a consignment of benylene with codeine syrup worth approximately 763,000 kwacha at Victoria Falls borders in Livingstone. The importer of the seized consignment has since been arrested and detained at Livingstone Central Police for contravening Section 15 of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act No. 35, as well as contravening provisions of the Medicines and Allied Substances Act No. 3 of 2013.
In other news, Tourism Minister Rodney Sikumba is impressed with the conservation efforts by Front 4 Zoological Society in the North Luangwa and Sumbu ecosystem and surrounding game management areas. The minister adds that the restocking of the black rhino that reveals a healthy population also needs to be replicated in other protected areas in the country so that the Big Five can be seen in other parts of the country. Speaking when FZS Country Outreach Director Rogers Lubilo and Community Resource Boards Association National Administrator Wupe Muhango paid a courtesy call on him, the minister said there is a need to strengthen the linkage between the government and various stakeholders under the tourism sector. And Mr. Lubilo called on the minister to support communities by ensuring that the community-based natural resources management policy that communities have been waiting comes to fruitful, considering that most of the input for the draft document have been done.
We are having yet another meeting of all CMPs in Zambia to see how best we could create harmony in the way we do business, in the way we relate with each other, and what your focus would be in a particular area that you operate in. So that will come into effect, and also that once that is established, then obviously we go to the next thing, which is the CBNI conference, and then we tighten everything. And then obviously there's certain incentives that we put in place to see how best we could assist these communities.
A lot of work has been done, and we can just appeal to your office again to see if it's possible that I heard you mention about that in Parliament yesterday. I was personally excited. Basically, I took time to read through the party manifesto, the UPND party manifesto, to see how it relates to some of the issues that are in the draft policy.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia has submitted before the Constitutional Court that there is no constitutional provision that compels it to publish the declared assets and liabilities of presidential candidates. This is in a case where Patriotic for Economic Progress leader Sean Tembo has petitioned ECZ and the state over the Electoral Commission of Zambia's failure to publish assets declared by President Hakainde Hichilema when he filed in his nomination papers prior to 12th August general elections. ECZ has further told the Constitutional Court that the Regulation 22 of the electoral process, General Regulation 2016, requires the returning officer to publish the information contained in the nomination papers and affidavits relating to candidates, but the said provision does not relate to presidential candidates.
The controversial debate surrounding the declaration of assets and liabilities by a head of state continues before the country's highest court The latest submissions filed before the Constitutional Court, the Electoral Commission of Zambia argues that there is no provision in the Constitution which compels them to publish the declared assets and liabilities of a presidential candidate. In this case, Patriots for Economic Progress leader Sean Tembo has petitioned the Electoral Commission of Zambia and the state over failure by ACCUSES to publish assets and liabilities declared by President Hakainde Hichilema when he filed his nomination papers prior to 12 August general elections. Mr. Tembo wants the Constitutional Court to declare that failure by ACCUSES to publish the said statutory declaration of assets and liabilities contravenes the law and is illegal. He further wants the Commission to disclose the asset President Hakainde Hichilema declared when he was filing his nomination. Meanwhile, the Commission explains that under the 1996 Constitution, there was a specific provision under Article 34, 5b, which subjected declared assets to public inspections, but now argues that the current country's amendment, Constitution 2 of 2016, has no such provision which compel them to do, and further that it has not breached any constitution, as alleged by Mr. Tembo. ACCUSES has since requested that the Constitutional Court dismiss his petition with cause. The case continues. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
A returning officer in the just-ended 12th August general election has testified before the Lusaka High Court how a technical support officer at Mandevu Constituency Tottling Center was slapped by a UPND official because he swapped the election results when updating the system. Collins Chira has told the court that the mismatch of results brought commotion at the center, a situation which left some injured. He, however, informed the court that a correction was made to ensure that the correction figures were recorded for the UPND councillor. This is in a case where UPND losing candidate Aaron Mulope has petitioned the election of PF's Christopher Shakafuswa seeking a nullification. The petitioner is citing violence and other illegal practices which allegedly characterized the campaign and elections in the constituency. Meanwhile, Mr. Chira has testified he went ahead to announce that Mr. Shakafuswa was the duly elected Mandevu Member of Parliament after all stakeholders did a thorough counting verification. We'll take our second set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
At Savenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Savenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. Government through the Ministry of Agriculture says more than 200 simple wires have been constructed with close to 1,800 households. Trend under expansion of community-based smallholders, irrigation development in Northwestern Province, Agricultural Coordinating Muyobe Shimabele revealed that close to 80 hectares of land has been covered under irrigation since the ACCUSES project commenced in 2019. Mr. Shimabale was speaking during a 3-day mid-term training workshop for the second batch of the Ministry of Agriculture staff from Maninga, Ikelengi, Mwinlunga and Solwezi district under a ACCUSES development project held at Chakafumu Farm Institute in Solwezi district. He further reaffirmed the Don government's commitment to increase agricultural production and productivity. Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, through its ACCUSES development project, is being implemented in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture.
Increasing crop production using irrigation is what these agricultural officers are here for. The aim of the mid-term training workshop is to review the progress of expansion of community-based smallholder irrigation ACCUSES development project activities being implemented in the province. So far, more than 200 simple weirs have been constructed, covering close to 80 hectares of land. Northwestern Provincial Agriculture Coordinator Muyobo Shimabale graced the training workshop.
The project focuses on enhanced water management practices that aim to promote smallholder irrigation infrastructure. Since the inception of the project in the province, close to 1,800 farming households have been trained in simple weir construction, while more than 200 simple weirs have been constructed. Close to 80 hectares have been brought under irrigation.
Mr. Shimabale also reaffirmed the new Don government's commitment to increase agricultural production and productivity.
The UPND government desires to increase agricultural production and productivity, as well as to facilitate market access. The government also seeks to encourage value chain addition and agro-processing, and to increase farmer access to affordable inputs.
Fidelis Nandu is the acting senior horticultural officer and explained on how to make organic pesticide using local materials to control pests and diseases in crops.
We are encouraging the making of these home remedies, organic pesticides, one, because the materials that are used can be found in the community. Two, they are a little bit cheaper to make compared to the other conventional chemicals. Then three, because they are biodegradable and they have a shorter pre-entry period and pre-harvest interval.
For agricultural staff, the project is on course with more capacity building.
I will go and introduce the cheap and easily prepared herbicides from local materials.
What is expected of me as a camp officer when I go back to my camp is to implement what I've learned from here, especially on the bokash compost making. I'm eager to go and teach my farmers back home because this bokash compost is so simple to make.
Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, through its ACCUSES development project, is being implemented in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture. Krivach Tuta, reporting in Solwezi, Northwestern Province.
Government has assured that it will continue to study prevailing regional and international movements towards abolition of the death penalty to inform the national decision. Speaking when he graced this year's anniversary, Justice Minister Mulambo has also disclosed that the commutation of death sentence to life imprisonment and pardoning of inmates serving various sentences, including death, will continue without any form of discrimination. Meanwhile, Human Rights Commission Chairperson Madford Mwandenga has since appealed to government to ensure Zambia votes in favor of the United Nations or global moratorium on the death penalty during the next voting cycle. This year's 19th edition of the World Day Against the Death Penalty is aimed at raising global awareness on the continued adverse impact of the death penalty and the need to abolish it.
While human rights groups see the abolishing of the death penalty in Zambia as the only solution to Zambia's ever-growing death row population, achieving this still remains crucial. This year's commemoration of the 19th anniversary of the World Day Against Death Penalty has seen various stakeholders support the need for government to abolish the death penalty completely. To demonstrate the commitment by government to this cause, Justice Minister Mulambo Hayimbe says government will continue to start prevailing regional and international movements towards abolishing the death penalty to inform the national decision. He says this during this year's commemoration Thursday in Lusaka.
Human rights. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, the global movement towards abolishing the death penalty is very clear. Statistics show, and as previous speakers have already said, that by the end of the year 2020, out of the 195 countries in the world, at least 107 had abolished the death penalty for all crimes, whilst 54 retained it, and 27, including Zambia, had abolished it in practice, while 7 still retain the death penalty for special crimes such as war crimes. In sub-Saharan Africa, as at the end of the year 2020, at least 21 countries had abolished the death penalty. The commitment of the government on protecting the right to life is guaranteed. As a government, we will provide clear political leadership.
Meanwhile, Human Rights Commission Chairperson Madford Mwandenga has called on government to maintain Zambia's executive position on the death penalty, which it has been observing for the last 24 years.
The plight of women who risk being sentenced to death, who have been sentenced to death, who have been executed, and those who have had their death sentences commuted or pardoned, or those who have been exonerated of capital offenses. The theme seeks to expose the inherent discriminatory nature of the death penalty against vulnerable and marginalized groupings due to societal and stigmatization that may find its way in the criminal justice system. Your presence at this commemoration demonstrates, in our view, the New Dawn's administration's commitment to improving the human rights situation in Zambia.
In attendance was the European Union in Zambia, the United Nations in Zambia, NGOCC, and the Human Rights Commission, who argue that death penalty and denies the right to life. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News, now getting into our international items. As health officials across Africa urge women to get COVID-19 vaccines, they have confronted hesitance among those of childbearing age. In Gambia, some women are not willing to be vaccinated against COVID-19. In other news, the former Lieutenant ACCUSES Magabo of the Democratic Republic of Congo confessed on Wednesday that he directly orchestrated the 2 murders with the help of other security members led by Christian Kenga. Here's a roundup of international news.
As health officials across Africa urge women to get COVID-19 vaccines, they've confronted hesitancy among those of childbearing age. They've cited the negative information that is out there, especially from the anti-vax campaigners, making them scared of the jab. I can't deny the fact that the virus exists. It does exist. I'm only scared about the vaccine. It's my only concern. The way I hear people talking about it, that's why I'm scared. Yes, it's true. Our life since the coronavirus arrived has been very difficult. No one had anything and no one was able to work, and we suffered with pain, and we are still going through it. If I do not wake up and go to work and the river overflows, I will not be able to do anything for my children. Delays in getting vaccines to impoverished countries allowed misinformation to flourish, even in the outlying villages where few people own smartphones. Female literacy has all been blamed for this in the continent.
Was such rumors, for example, some people will say once you start getting the vaccine, you are likely not going to bear children anymore. So in short, it can cause infertility in women. And that alone has caused a lot of problem for women to actually accept the vaccine. We were almost the last to get the vaccines. So before the vaccine came, the misinformations reached us.
In Gambia, like many African countries, AstraZeneca was the only vaccine available initially.
People rushed to get on the Conakry Express in Guinea's capital. The train is carrying passengers for the first time in 10 months. The service had been interrupted in January after priority was given to cargo trains ferrying bauxite shipments used in the production of aluminum. The shutdown had hit Conakry's residents, who had to endure hellish traffic jams and high fuel costs hard. The train transports more than 3,000 people per day. Now we have this good news. I'm very happy that the train has returned. I am at ease. I rushed this morning to get on board because I prefer the train. All Guineans are happy because we suffered when the train wasn't running. Operated by the State Railways Company of Guinea, the train provides 2 services per day between Conakry and its suburbs and passes through a dozen stations over a distance of 36 kilometers. A trip costs 4,000 francs or 36 euro cents. We transport more than 3,000 people a day. So it's a permanent cause of concern for staff, because if the train stops, we must have the courage to say it and take responsibility for it. It creates problems because when you see the people with the traffic jams and the advantages of the train, we need to apply ourselves and make sure that the train does not stop. This is what we promised our bosses, and it's what we're doing. The return of the Conakry Express eases some pressure off the city's road infrastructure, and its users will be hoping there are no more interruptions.
The trial in the case of the assassination of human rights defenders Floribert Chebeya and Fidel Bazama in June 2010 in Kinshasa took another twist on Wednesday when one of the accused confessed to the 2 murders. The former Lieutenant Jack Mugambo confessed on Wednesday that he directly orchestrated the 2 murders with the help of other security members led by Christian Kenga. He further detailed how, in turn, the rights activists Fidel Bazama and Floribert Chebeya were restrained, their hands handcuffed behind their backs, and later suffocated with plastic bags. The other co-accused, Colonel Christian Kenga, who has been in prison for more than a year, refused to appear in court despite being summoned. 5 police officers have been convicted of the murder, 3 of them in absentia. Numbi, who was suspended shortly after Chebeya's murder, was placed under US and European sanctions in 2016 for a police crackdown on protests in the region of Bas, Congo. After the incident, Numbi fled to Zimbabwe, and the DRC later issued an arrest warrant to have the general extradited.
We now get into our sports item. The Football Association of Zambia says it has taken note of the letter written by MBULAKULIMA, a member of parliament for Milenge constituency, on the first president, Andrew Kamanga. In a press statement, FAS Vice President Justin Mumba says MBULAKULIMA, who was an executive committee member almost 2 decades ago and serving on the dissolved Zamshua Football Club executive, then called for Mr. Kabanga to resign based on the performance of the Zambia men's national team in the Qatar 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Mumba says FAS Executive Committee finds it strange that MBULAKULIMA singled out Kamanga in a 14-member executive committee on the performance of the Chipolopolo when the problem are multi-faced. Mumba wonders why Mr. MBULAKULIMA has only found his voice now when he remained quiet when the Patriotic Front government repeatedly harassed FAS, disrupting the smooth running of the game. The Vice President says MBULAKULIMA should also be reminded that FAS struggles to hold elections for a year owing to political interference to an extent that Zambia almost got suspended by FIFA from all football activities. FAS has since advised MBULAKULIMA to openly express his interest to contest for the FAS presidency as provided for in the Constitution, as opposed to issuing wide and misleading statements. Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. PF VEEP accuses President HH of inciting political violence. PAC attributes HH's delay to make appointments to bad company. CSO'S urge government to adopt PF's economic recovery plan. In international news, vaccine misinformation blamed for low turnout among Gambian women. And in sports, FAS VEEP responds to MBULAKULIMA. Before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day. It's coming from the book of Isaiah 54 verse 10, and it reads, Though the mountains move and the hills shake, my love will not be removed from you, and my covenant of peace will not be shaken, says your compassionate Lord. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.